friends, welcome back to today's video. This is going to be a bookish weekend vlog. I have a lot of book related things planned for this weekend and I figured it'd be fun to bring you guys along. So one of the book things is that I want to update my reading journal. I have a few spreads that I want to do, and then there's also some updates to some spreads in there that I need to fill out. And then I'm also in the middle of reading Reckless and I wanted to share my thoughts and my feelings on the book so far, and then once I finish the book, also share my thoughts and feelings. So it's gonna be kind of a mini reading vlog as well. Again, halfway through it, I have tabbed a few things, so I'll share those in a minute. And then I'm also thinking of doing a book shopping vlog, or like book shopping portion, because I have some Barnes & Noble gift cards burning a hole in my pocket from my birthday that I want to spend. So lots of book related things happening in this vlog, but let's jump into Reckless, my thoughts on it so far. So like I said, I'm about halfway through and it picks up exactly where Powerless left off. So we just jump right into action, jump right into the plot of the book. And so far it's fun, it's entertaining. I'm trying to keep in mind this is a YA romantasy book. So, you know, it's not gonna be the most groundbreaking plot or storylines or writing. So keeping all that in mind as some more of a light, fluffy candy type of read, and that's exactly what it is. It's super entertaining. I know I said in a previous video I would hold off on probably reading this right away, but I was just in the mood to read romantasy, and when this came out I was like, I might as well just read it. So we pick up, like I said, right where Powerless left off, and we get POV chapters from Kai and Payden, and so far there's good banter. You know, that's what Lauren loves to incorporate, so the banter's good in a lot of scenes. There's like some scenes where I literally was like, ooh, like giggling, like enjoying it so much. So there's still some of that happening in here. We get some characters from the first book reoccurring in here as well, so it's not just, you know, Kai and Payden. And then we also get a few point of view chapters from Kit, and it's really interesting seeing his point of view chapters. Now granted, every time a Kit chapter pops up I'm like, ugh, I don't want to read from him right now, but I understand why we need them. So I'm curious though to see like where exactly this book's gonna go and how we're gonna end, because given that we're halfway through, or I'm halfway through reading it, everything that has occurred so far, I basically thought it would be the entirety of this book. So, you know, Payden's on the run, she has to like try and flee the country and everything like that, and I thought that was going to be the majority of what this book is so far. But Kaya's already like caught up to her, and there's like, you know, interactions between them and some dynamics of her escaping and fighting and stuff like that. But I'm very curious to see how this is gonna end. I do love knowing that book 3 is coming out in April of next year, so less than a year wait, which is really comforting to know that it's not that long of a wait. But it is much later now, but I wanted to do a check-in on Reckless because I'm now like 70-ish% through the book, and I have some thoughts so far. I made some tea. I made some peppermint tea because I've kind of eaten a lot of junk food today, or just like not full meals, and I feel like my tummy's just feeling a little icky, and usually peppermint tea will help soothe stomach aches or like tummy problems. So if you didn't know that, try drinking peppermint tea. But let's talk Reckless. So I'm like 70-ish% like I said, and so far not a lot has happened, if I'm being honest, in this plot. It is really just Kai and Payden running in circles in this kingdom called Door, I think that's how you call it, and they are like trying to get back to the original kingdom, but they keep having to evade people because there's a bounty on both of their heads basically. So it's very much just like running, getting captured, then escaping, then getting captured by someone else, and then escaping again, and now they're taking a different way back to the kingdom that they're from. So it's literally just been them running around in circles in this one area. As much as I love that, as much as that's, you know, okay, it's really not that exciting to read about, so that part I don't love. But the best way I can relate this book, it's like watching reality TV. Like, you know, reality TV is usually bad and it's not that great, and yet it's addicting and entertaining to watch. That's how I feel about this book. Like, it's very addicting to read. Like, it's very easy to read and it's entertaining, so I just want to keep reading it. I am curious though how the last chunk of this book is going to go, because if I'm recalling correctly, Powerless, the last chunk of it was jam-packed full of stuff. Like, it was a page turner, and I really hope that that will be the case for this one. Like, once they make it back to the original kingdom, like, maybe a lot will unfold and happen. But yeah, so far it's just like a lot of running around, and I personally don't love that. I didn't love it when it was like in the Harry Potter books. Like, the last book I feel like was just them running around the entire time, and I was like, okay, this is like not that fun to read about, but like, I get it. I understand why we need to see it, but that's my thoughts so far on it. So it's entertaining. It's nothing groundbreaking. There's still great banter between Kai and Peyton. I will say though, it's like also repetitive. So like in Powerless, I felt like certain phrases were repeated a lot, and it's not the same phrases, but there are certain phrases in here that are repeated a lot, and also the same thoughts are just happening over and over and over again, of like, they hate each other, they can't wait to kill them, but then like when the opportunity presents itself, they can't bring themselves to do it. And it's just like, okay, we get it. Like, I don't need to keep reading the same scene 5 different times, just like differently phrased and worded. So yeah, it sounds like I'm not enjoying it, but I swear y'all, like, it's a fine book. Like, it's probably gonna be like a 3.5 star, which is like still good in my eyes. Like, that's still a good ranking, and I would recommend this to people. I would just caveat that this is like a candy junk read. Like, it's not gonna be the best romantasy you've ever read, but it will be a fun time. And if you're in a slump, like, these are the kind of books that help get you out of a slump. So like, for that, I can see its worth and its value, and like, I appreciate it. But that's my little check-in. That is all that I had to share at this point in time. And if anything exciting happens, or if I finish the book, I will make sure to circle back and check in. It's much later, and I have finished my read of Reckless, and this book was basically a no plot, just vibes kind of book. It was pretty disappointing, if I'm being honest, especially with the name like Reckless. I think I was just expecting a little bit more plot driven, or just a lot of more interesting dynamics between characters. And basically this book consisted of Peyton and Kai running in circles in one kingdom, and then trying to get back to their homeland and trying to avoid people. They get captured and then running from each other again. So it quite literally was just them running nonstop, and I personally don't enjoy those kind of storylines. It just was not interesting in my opinion. I did enjoy their dynamics, and don't get me wrong, there were a few things that I did tab in here. I thought the chemistry was still great, and their dynamic and banter was still fabulous like it was in the first one. I really loved Powerless because it had the trial aspect and the games aspect. So that dynamic and storyline was really interesting to read about in Powerless. And this one I felt just lacked a purpose. It lacked, like, what was the point of this book? And in my opinion, this was a filler book and is basically setting up for the next book, especially how this book ended. I was hoping that the last chunk of this book would be intense and crazy and a lot of stuff was gonna happen, and that truly did not happen. Like, it was good. Like, there were some cute moments in here between Peyton and Kai, and then the last chapter is definitely a cliffhanger for sure that's setting up for the next book. But part of me also feels like this literally could have been condensed way down and just been like the first part in the next book. Like, this whole series, instead of being 3 books, could have just been a duology, and I honestly think it maybe would have been better that way. So yeah, a bit disappointing. It was entertaining, don't get me wrong. Like, when you watch bad reality TV, it's still entertaining. It's just not like mind-blowingly crazy or anything like that. So it was still good. I would still, this would be like a maybe to recommend. Like, if you enjoyed Powerless, I would maybe recommend this one. Like, obviously, if you want to continue the series, you're gonna need to read it, but it was also just like, maybe lower your expectations, because I personally found this one to just literally be no plot, just vibes, like I said. So overall, I think I'm giving it a 3.5 rating. So like, still entertaining, still fun, a quick read. Like, if you're in a reading slump, then I would recommend reading these because that's how quick the writing was to read. Like, very easy to read. I literally could have read this in one sitting, but I broke it up into 2 days. So those are my thoughts on Powerless. A bit disappointing. I was really hoping this would be like something jammed packed full of craziness, and it just kind of flopped. So I don't really love that, but hey, it happens. Let's hope that the next one, the 3rd book, is maybe packs more of a punch. I think that one comes out in April, they announced. Oh, also, in Lauren's like post, because she went on Good Morning America, which I didn't watch the full segment. I just watched what she shared on her story. And there's low-key, I feel like, talks of maybe this becoming into a show or movie. Like, it's coming to the screen at some point. So they didn't like fully confirm that, but Lauren was definitely being like, yes, like, let's hope that's gonna happen. So curious to see if this does come to like the screen, if it's going to be a TV series or if it's going to be a movie. That's going to be really interesting, and I wonder who they're going to cast. So that'll be exciting. Like, that'd be really fun if they did bring this to the screen. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Reckless. A bit disappointing, and now I need to figure out what I'm going to read next.